Welcome back. So second half of this week, bunch of different things going on. This is that left hand side door frame just popped from the mold, and you see obviously needs all the trim work and drilling and cutting and all that sort of stuff. So that's the next thing to do using the machine. And here it's up on the fixture and just running around with a 1/4 inch end mill there, and just this particular pass is just cutting the outside edge there, and you see it actually fluffs it up, and that's mainly because it hasn't really had a chance to cure super hard yet, so the end mill actually heats it up and causes it to fluff. But anyway, just a quick bit of sanding there. You can see it's already been cleaned off there around the edges, and it comes up nice. And here it's actually cutting out the openings for the lock boxes. So this is one of the ones on the bottom, and there's basically 3 parts: a left side, a right side, and then the upper bit. And then the lower bit on that face there that's sort of resting against the fixture, that cut, just doing that by hand right now, it's a little bit tricky to try and do it with the machine, and that was the problem I had on the first go around on the right hand door frame. Anyway, those came out nicely, as you'll see here in a little bit, and didn't take too long this time now that I sort of had practice on the other two. And now it's running the pass just with a regular drill bit in order to drill the 4 holes for each of the locks, and those ones don't take too long to run, as you can imagine. So but with 10 locks on there, so 40 holes altogether to be drilled. And you might recognize this one. We've actually laid this one up before. This was the door strakes, and but we didn't prime it the first go around, and the finish didn't come out as good as what we wanted, so this time it's primed, and we're going to lay those up again, seeing they don't take too long. And yesterday the guys were working on putting these little bits of thin wax in there. This is for the outer door frame, and going to do the same thing with that and create those pressure intensifier blocks. So the step is to lay down the wax and then the black top coat, and then put in some fill, and then pop them out and trim them off. And this is the left lower side straight plug. So this one got primed on Thursday morning after some sanding, and then got some more sanding, and it's ready for the second coat of primer now, so it won't be long and that one will be ready to pull a mold. And back on the door frame now, as you can see, just drilling out the holes for the hinge pins, or bushings actually, that go in there, and then the pins go through the bushings. So I just do this by hand, basically line the machine up and then wheel it through. And we did some more testing on the coupons yesterday, and this one is a shear test on the acrylic, and this one didn't go so high because I don't think it was set very well where we were holding it, and was putting undue stress on the join. So that one got just over 700 pounds, and this is another one, again, a shear test on the acrylic. So this one set it up a little bit better, so it wasn't having any undue stress on where the actual join was holding there. And lastly, this is a T-peel test on the carbon fiber, just 2 bits of carbon fiber, and this one didn't actually go that high, and I think it's mainly because the carbon fiber hasn't been post-cured. So we've got some post-cured strips that have been heated in the oven, and we're going to be testing those next week sometime. And here's that rib mold that you've seen in the last couple of videos that was being completed, and that's been popped. It still needs to be cleaned off around the edges, but it actually came out really nice. So those are most of the ribs that make up the strake tank. And the next step with the door was to position the jig that I have that allows me to drill the holes in the hinge pockets in the fuselage. So here I've put that steel rod through the hinge holes there and mounted the fixture, and some 5-minute epoxy to hold it in place until it's ready. I'll be doing that next week. And here you can see the guys are finished with laying out those bits of wax there for creating these pressure inserts. and quite a job there because there's 10 to do on each jaw, and you've got to sort of cut the wax and then lay it out. But you know, keep in mind this is just so we can create those pressure blocks, and so it's a one-time deal. And if you're thinking I've seen these parts before, you're right. We ended up actually laying these up again. These are the window frames, and the reason why we laid them up, you can see there the overlap, the way it's overlapped on the bottom there, and on this side it's overlapped on the front and back. And the reason why we laid up the first time, we had the overlap in the other direction, and you would see that behind the acrylic glass. So we wanted a continuous piece of carbon fiber from top to bottom there on either end, and so we had to lay it up with the opposite layout. And anyway, those came out nice. So when you have the windows put on there, you're going to see the nice carbon fiber all the way across and not a seam halfway up. And the machinist vise that I purchased off of eBay arrived, and this thing is super heavy. Anyway, as you can see, I'm mocking up this frame for it to sit on out of 2x2 steel. So I'll be welding that together next week, and then also welding some sort of bolts on the middle there, so that can be bolted onto place onto that, and then we can actually use that to start doing some drilling and milling on the lock boxes. And finally, Britt, who's doing the modifications to our nose gear leg, has sent through some pictures. So here's the various different pieces of that of our nose gear that we sent him, and he's created the actual shim sleeve or sleeve to go over the actual existing main tube. And so here you can see this is the cap that he created or cut for the top of that tube, and that's just basically set into place there, ready to be welded up. So he actually had to cap that one and the original tube as well, because we cut it to length. It was too long for what we needed. And so in this next image here, you can see he's done a super nice job welding that up. So that's good to see. So that's coming along. We're hoping to have that gear leg all done before the end of the month. And speaking of getting stuff done before the end of the month, we're also being promised to have all the parts and stuff necessary for our gear drive, reduction drive, and also the engine mount should be done. So the engine's coming back to our shop by the end of the month, and then we're going to be full steam ahead with doing it, whatever's necessary to get that up on the stand and get it all dialed in and running. So we have plenty of time ahead of time to make sure that there's no problems with that. So anyway, that's the gear leg there so far, and it just needs to have the trunnion welded on, and it's pretty much all done. So that's our update for the second half of this week, and thanks again for watching.